Hey, everybody, how are you? Good morning. It is time for Be Encouraged, and I am your host with the squeaky microphone stand, your host with the most. Look there in the background, you see my on-air sign from my sister. She's awesome. So, anyway, how's everybody doing? I hope everyone's doing well. I have my good friend, Derek Pearson is announcing the high school state championship stuff in Nebraska. So he will not be on today. And that's okay because I've been winging it on my own here for the last several shows. But Leslie Salmon will be here on Friday for sure. And I hope Dan Morgan will be on with us tomorrow. And maybe we'll have a possibility of maybe another guest host or guest co-host will be on Thursday. We'll look into that and see what we can pull off for you. Anyway, so today we have a day of encouragement, as we do every morning. We try and come on here at 10 o'clock to get you going, get you moving, get you headed in the right direction as far as feeling good about yourself and about what you're doing. And then we follow up this show with our radio show, the MoreJoy Show. And it's on at 11 o'clock till 2 o'clock. You can listen to that by going to our webpage, morejoyradio.com. And yesterday we had some technical difficulties. I'm hoping that we are past that today. We'll see, and we'll hope to. Anyway, so one of the things we were going to do today is talk a little bit about the weather. It's going to be 70 degrees today, folks. 70 degrees. And, it's going to be exciting. It's a day that we need to all try and get outside and enjoy ourselves as best we can. And that will be exciting. We need some people to reach out and touch the person next to them and want to talk about a little bit about how do we go about encouraging our neighbors, our friends, our family? I think it's a little different for each of them. If you try and be, I don't know, something about family where if you're not really sincere in your encouragement, they pick up on it and they're like, what are you doing? Been there, done that. Actually, normally I can tell what I'm doing as far as that's concerned. So there's a good chance that if you just smile at people, that can be encouraging for them. And if you have a kind word to follow up the smile, especially if you get your smile back, just say thank you. When you smile, they smile back. You said, thank you for the smile. It's an amazing way to personally touch base with somebody and make them think to themselves, well, you smiled at me. They're not really aware. But then they recognize the power, or the impact, rather, is the name of the word, the impact of what a smile means to some people. And that's exciting because it's really that simple to encourage somebody. Just give somebody a smile, make eye contact, smile, and, just say, hey, I've done that before. And because I felt like I was kind of guided and pushed into kind of, not in a bad way pushed, but I got a little nudge that someone's walking down the street and I'm trying to catch an eye with them. And they're totally immersed in what they're doing. And I actually say, excuse me. And then they look up and look at me and I say, have a great day. And I just keep walking. Well, there's no argument there from that. The person's usually taken aback because they're like, what the hell just happened? But if they're sweet, if they're on top of it, they usually say, well, thank you, or something like that, or you too. And, that's not the reason I did it. But it's very interesting. It's a social experiment that I've been carrying on for years. of how much of an impact does it have just to acknowledge someone and give them a little bit of peace on a day that could be hectic for them. It could be completely boring for them. Who knows what's going on with them and in their lives? But if you take the time to recognize that it's another human being, then you will be amazed at how that makes you feel, as well as recognizing how it makes them feel. And so I would suggest to you, one of the things that you should really try and do is, there's my friend David Ng, and Tura Arsala, all checking in this morning. But it's really amazing what kind of an effect that just an acknowledgement of humanity with someone is. And I wouldn't say go out of your way to do that with any subset, or there's no subsets of humanity. We're all human and we're all part of humanity. But if you are looking to get excited about other people and what they're doing, that will in turn lift you up. I'm saying someone say hi to another person for you works too. Okay. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. One of the things you have to do, though, is you have to have a countenance upon you, a certain countenance upon you. And I don't really, I just know that your countenance is what you are and how you are. People say, I've heard people use the term aura. That's kind of a new spiritual way of looking at what is countenance. What is your countenance? What is it that God has put upon you so that others will see? And He wants them to see peace in you. And you open your heart to that, and they will. And that's what's powerful, very extreme, in the sense that everything that you do is viewed by somebody, even if that somebody is you. Think about that for a second. So everything that you do, for parents, it's your kids and your spouse, everything you do is seen and absorbed and taken by others. But here's the key thing too. It's also seen, recognized, covered, and acknowledged by your own self. In other words, how many times have you done something and then you said, why did I do that? Because it had an effect on you. What you did had an effect on you. And that means, what are you going to do? Are you going to be nice to people? What effect will that have on you? Make you feel good, right? If you're going to mean to somebody, how does that make you feel? It makes you feel angry. It makes you feel bad. So if you're only looking out for yourself, be nice to others, because that'll make you feel better. And it'll make you feel like you are worth something. So that's one place to start, is just doing things that will make, that you know are the right things to do and will make a difference in your life. And making a difference in someone else's life is absolutely makes a difference in yours. So I give you a challenge on this Tuesday, this Taco Tuesday, Tura. The challenge today is, no matter who you encounter today, whether it be family, friends, I was going to say your dog, but it doesn't really matter. Definitely not your cat. See, that was being mean. But what it is important for you to do is just make eye contact with somebody and just say, how you doing, in passing. You don't have to stop. You don't have to draw someone into a conversation. In fact, it's sometimes that might not be as influential and awesome as just giving someone an acknowledgement in passing. I know that I just love when people just give me a head nod, as we're walking on the street, and I see that. And there's in other cultures, that's something that if you don't do it, it's an insult. I mean, in some cultures, they do that absolutely right away. But they don't expect it from other cultures. But when I've noticed that when I acknowledge people from a culture that's how they all interact with themselves, each other. And by the way, you notice I'm talking about not humanity, but culture, because there are different cultures, which means different people do things different ways. But one of the things in some cultures is to just acknowledge the other person. And if you don't, it's an insult. So when you're walking down the street, of course, it's busy street. You have your eyes focused on where you're going so you don't trip and fall over a fire hydrant or something. Been there, done that. Or a big can or something, whatever. Mostly you want to make sure that you're going where you need to be going. And if it's in the hustle and bustle of New York, for instance, or anywhere, it's hard to recognize and control and make an acknowledgement. But when you're just walking down the hall and someone's coming the other way, as I said before, I am encouraging you. But in some cultures, that's been how people were raised. In others, not so much. And so you have to make a conscious effort to do it if it's something you're not used to doing. But as I said, for me to recognize that in some cultures, that's what you do, even though they don't expect me, because they can tell I'm not from their culture, but they don't expect it from me, but I try with everybody to acknowledge. And you ought to see the smile, like, hello. Oh, and they acknowledge back, like, and they're walking away going, oh, how did he know he's supposed to acknowledge me? Well, it's because I care about people and I watch and see what they do and how they do it. And in various different cultures, I'm a mimic. So I like the accents and different dialects that people use. And I mimic that, not with all due respect. I know when to do it and when not to do it. So, and my family, they don't understand that I know when and when not to do it. And so they'll be like, Lee, don't you think you're insulting them by mocking them? I said, I'm not mocking them. I'm communicating with someone on the same, where they're used to being communicated and what they're most comfortably how they're being communicated with. And sometimes I know that means just be who I am and speak the way I speak. And sometimes I mesh in with the family and everybody, and I speak a little bit kind of how they do. And I feel like it makes me more part of the family if I speak and communicate right there along with them. So sometimes not. I recognize that there's certain cultures where you don't want to do that, because then they'll take that as a sale on their individuality. So that's how that kind of tends to operate and work. So I wanted to do that for today. I wanted to make sure that you guys had that challenge for today to reach out and acknowledge somebody today. If you happen to, just pulling up to, if you happen to be hitting the drive-through, pulling up in the drive-through and seeing the person who's giving you, not just, get your card out and you put your card in and you're not really looking up at the person, you're just listening to them talk. The same thing I've caught myself doing that. A big rat just ran by the window outside. That kind of startled me. It might have been just a tree rat, squirrel, in other words. But it caught my attention. I'm an ADHD guy, so those kind of things just make me go. But don't worry. I know where I was, and I know where I'm back at. And that is, maybe I don't remember what I was talking about. Well, you want to acknowledge people, but you want to acknowledge that drive-through person. You want to look at them and say, hey, thank you very much. And depending on where you are, I hear every morning, my pleasure. So, but I do look them in the eye and say, hey, thanks so much. I appreciate it. And you can tell they're just not like, it's really genuinely, they're like, oh, that guy's paying attention to who I am, as opposed to not. And I try not to go through too many drive-throughs. I'm going to watch this. I got to get this down, which I'm being pretty successful at. And I appreciate anybody's prayers who want to help me out with that, with some prayers. But I want to also say that acknowledging people in places where, like if you go to not many people have been doing this recently, but if you go to a restaurant and you're sitting there with your face in the menu and the waitress comes up and you kind of, one of these deals, like real quick, and you tell them what you want to eat and that's it. And then I don't look up again. I close my menu and let her go on to the next person. Or I close my menu and she says, okay, I'll get that right away. No problem. Can you give me a water? But I don't look up at her or him. I don't know why. It's really weird. But I've definitely in the last several years been making an effort that if I'm in a restaurant, which hasn't happened too often in the last while, but I look at the person who's serving and acknowledge them. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you is one of the things, I saw the commercial. I saw that I've been doing that for years, by the way. I say, I appreciate you, man. That kind of thing. And that makes an impact. How you speak to someone, speak in a way that's authentic and that it's yours, not just a thank you, thanks, thank you, thank you. You say, hey, thanks a lot, and make sure that it shows that person that you're speaking to that you are making an emphasis on the thank you to them. So the best way to do that is just to open your eyes up wide, look at somebody, smile, and say, hey, thank you very much. And you'll get all kinds of answers back, Sometimes they go, all right, freakazoid. Yeah, if you're a little too over, thank you so much. That's a little bit too much. But keeping a smile on your face, for some people, that's not something that they're used to doing. Just relaxing, smiling. It makes a difference in other people's lives who you don't even know that you're impacting, but at the same time, you don't walk around like this. Hi, how are you? That's creepy. So basically you just want to give an easy smile. Everyone can. I know a lot of people are not used to it. They're just totally not used to feeling good and wanting to smile. But I'm telling you, if you feel happy, this is a psychological thing. Okay. This has been proven out in psychological testing and research that most people, even if they pretend to be happy, are happy. If you pretend to be happy, you will be happy. And that's psychological. So when you go to work, as they say, you show up at work and your boss, I used to be a boss, and I would say to them, put a smile on your face. But you should smile everywhere you go but you just have to have an easy smile. Too many people have that forced smile and it's just not appealing. I've gone to some people who have worked in the customer service arena, and you walk up to them to ask them something. They go, yes, sir. How can I help you? And I'm like going, that's fake, but if they say, yes, sir, how can I help you? That's a nice easy way to show someone that you have a righteous countenance and that you feel good about your life and what gifts have been bequeathed to you. And so those are the kind of things that we want to forever try to improve upon. We want to forever try to always practice, and practice makes perfect. But if you want to have that encouragement that makes people understand that there's more to life than just the drudgery of walking the street or working where they're working, or doing what they're doing. For those of you who work at the drive-thru, get got eye contact with your customer and say, "Hi, how are you? How can we help you?" And you can see that, by the way, when you're on the phone or on a speaker, let's say. But people can see a smile. And I used to train customer service people and used to tell them, man, whatever you do, when you answer the phone, you smile and you speak with a smile on your face. And people will hear that. And you won't get as much grief from people when they hear you smiling. When they hear that nice, easy voice, when you're smiling and you speak with authenticity, I think is the way to say that. And you speak with a certain panache when you have a smile on your face. So when you're doing, for instance, a Facebook Live, you can't be like this talking about things and it's kind of boring. You need to just be happy. You need to be prepared. You can't just come on the air. You got to be prepared with what you want to talk about. I personally, as you know, as you can see, I don't really use notes and things like that because I've been doing this for 35 years. So I can speak about items and speak about subjects without too much preparation because I did the preparation in the past and I've already probably talked about whatever it is that I'm opening the mic to speak about, which is encouragement. I speak about that all the time with people. It's what I do. So don't be alarmed if you're trying to do your own Facebook and your own YouTube show. You have to have a certain a quality in your speaking voice. You have to have a certain relaxed nature when you're on the air with somebody or you're on video, and just show that there's a meaning and a worth in what you're doing without too much pomp and circumstance. But you got to judge. You have to prepare yourself for doing a show, and you want to set it up. This is a show where it's basically a stream of consciousness about whatever the subject is. And my friend Derek, who's normally on with me, Derek Pearson, he also has been doing this for so long that it just trips off his tongue, all about how he coaches, what he does. I've coached many years as well, nothing along the lines of Derek, but I know how to speak to people. I know how to influence people. I know how to engage my audience. And that's what you have to learn how to do. You can't just pop on and start talking, especially if you don't speak to people as if they were right there with you. You have to speak to the camera as if it's a bunch of people standing there talking and listening to everything you have to say. And you have to give them something that's meaningful to them in their lives. Easy peasy, right? Not easy. It's something that takes a lot of practice and a lot of work. And it takes a lot of research. You got to watch other people do it. And the people who you enjoy, try to mimic that in your own way, though. You got to try and get that energy. That's a big component as well. When you're speaking to people and trying to be encouraging, you got to have energy. And that energy will manifest in kind words. If you focus in that direction, the kind words and encouraging words, if you infuse all of that with energy, people will be interested in what you have to say. How about that? Is that about what it means? So don't forget, what we're going to do for this next week is I want you guys to make a conscious effort to try and catch someone's eye and just give them a nod. Morning, good afternoon. Yeah, that's kind of embarrassing when you say good morning at 7:00 in the evening. Done that many, many, many times. But you just acknowledge someone, and you acknowledge them with kind of a time of day, good morning, good afternoon. And that's every time. Like when I go to the doctor's office, which I do more often than most people, and the nurse walks in, I just say, hey, good afternoon. How you doing? That's just that easy. And then they say, oh, I'm doing great. Thank you very much. How are you? You know, and then you just kind of you can have a short little connection there. And, you know, that's all it takes, folks, is everybody inclusively you speak to. Everyone, women, men, people with disabilities, people of different ethnicities, people from different cultures. You acknowledge them in your way with your smile, and that will go a long way to people knowing that you have, that you try to limit your prejudices as best you can. We all have some prejudices against lots of different things, okay? But make them not against people. You know, leave the prejudice for, I don't like roses or I don't like carnations because they're cheap ass, you know, or something like that. I love carnations, by the way, because they're cheap. But you know, that's okay. That's a prejudicial statement you can make, and it's not going to alarm anybody. So, and if you're not, and if that's all you're thinking about being prejudiced against, then man, you're well on your way. But if you're not, don't be prejudiced and speak that way to people that aren't exactly like you. You know, it's important to acknowledge inclusively everyone and speak to them with love, kindness, clarity, lots of different ways to just reach out, look at someone and say, you make a difference in the world. I recognize that you do. I acknowledge your awesomeness and your humanity. And that's how you encourage people, folks. If you have any questions ever, folks, please don't ever hesitate to hit me up on Facebook. You can go to MoreJoy Media Facebook page and drop a note. Would love to hear from you. And other than that, or just drop a comment on the page. Like we have a bunch of comments today from Tor and David. I appreciate them a lot. So God bless you all. And thanks for tuning in today to Be Encouraged.